And now let's think about problem solving. What is this going to look like with counting? Well, when we think about problem solving with counting and cardinality, we're going to probably be telling a lot of stories, and most of these are going to be verbally presented. We're not always going to be reading these stories. But we want to first verbally communicate the counting strategies and then tell stories about what it means to count. So maybe I have 4 green frogs. How many frogs do I have? I have 4 frogs. That is early problem solving, whether you think it is or not. And this early counting is really going to lay the groundwork for what comes later as students are thinking about taking that counting knowledge and applying it in a more formal word problem setting. Now I have just a few examples of problem solving related to counting and cardinality. Let's look at those now. So one of the examples you could see is students who are talking, and they're talking about their counting. So let's imagine these 2 students are faced with the task of taking those bears that you see, those blue bears, and figuring out how many bears there are. That's a problem they need to solve. So one student might say, well, I used a 10 frame to organize my bears, and as I used my stable order and my 1-to-1, I counted 1, 2, 3, 4 bears, and I moved them into the 10 frame. The other student might say, well, I just counted the bears to help me. Maybe they didn't need the 10 frame. And both of these approaches are totally valid. So maybe here they just touched and counted the bears, 1, 2, 3, 4, to figure out that there are 4 bears in the set. Later, we may ask students to identify missing values on a number line to think about how well students know the counting sequence. So here I could think about 0, 1, 2, what? All right, 3. I could say 3, I could write 3, and then I continue counting 4, 5, what? Oh, let's see, 4, 5, 6. That's next in the counting sequence, and then 7. So then if I fill this in, I could count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This example brings in 0. We haven't really talked about that before, but we don't always have to start counting at 1. Remember, we can count from any number, and sometimes it's really helpful to count from 0. Now, those are just a few examples of how students might engage in problem solving related to counting and cardinality. So I would like you to think about, well, how do you engage your students in activities related to counting and cardinality? And how might you increase students' opportunities to practice this problem solving?